Good morning! Look at this! It's a lovely JLC, but it's not working. Let's get this thing opened up and sorted out. This is an 18-carat solid white gold case. The fact it's not yellow gold is probably what saved this watch. Millions of watches like this were destroyed for the scrap value of their cases. This one snuck under the radar. Also, you'll have noticed this dial is dual signed. Along with JLC, there's the Turler mark. Turler was an upscale Swiss jewellers whose brand value and recognition was such that they had their name added to dials of other makers' watches. Inspection hand setting worked okay and winding felt okay. I could feel the click was clicking, but there was no tension building up. That usually means a broken mainspring. Helvetia with the added letter C mark indicates this hallmark was struck in La Chaux-de-Fonds, Switzerland. A rare appearance for my orange screwdriver has spent the whole season on the bench. Now is its moment to shine. The blade on this screwdriver is 0.5 millimeter. First job is to find my little movement holder. This is a very, very small movement. A lovely little movement, and notice the cap jewels on the escape wheel as well as the balance wheel. That's a nice touch. A movement this small is always going to face an uphill struggle to maintain accuracy, but JLC have gone the extra mile to give this watch the best chance it can. We'll get this little balance wheel out and safely away from my marauding screwdrivers. Pallet and escape wheel look good and absolutely no power in the watch. Stem out and we'll pay a visit to the keyless and motion works. That's the setting lever spring screw. I did undo it. It wasn't just loose like that. Setting lever spring. This is a common failure point in vintage watches. Good to see there's no cracks or breaks. The setting lever can exit too. It's tweezer time for the minute wheel and intermediate wheel. As we get the yoke out, it's getting increasingly grubby in here. Bit rusty and dirty. Sliding pinion and winding pinion are off, and then we'll use the Presto tool to lift the cannon pinion. And back over to the pretty side of the movement. Need the tips of the screwdrivers a little wider. Dressing screwdrivers so they are perfect for each movement is much more important than the cost of the screwdriver. That's better. Won't slip out of the slot now. Always had a soft spot for Jaeger-Le-Coultre. Obviously they had that massive worldwide hit with the Reverso, but they're good all-round solid performers. That's the ratchet wheel off. We shall take the barrel bridge off next. The crown wheel screw head is on the underside. I think that it allows for a thinner bridge. There was only one service mark scratched on the inside of the case back, but looking at these screws, this watch has been on a few watchmakers' benches. And there's the screw head for the crown wheel. The pattern of slots indicate it's reverse threaded. Barrel out. That's definitely the best way to do it. Pop the barrel lid off and we shall find the broken mainspring. Oh, well, that is a bit of a boondoggle. That spring looks fine. No, wait. Hang on, it's broken at the outside coil where the hook is. That's a relief. I thought I was going to have to hand in my tweezers to the watchmaking police. And now the barrel arbor, great care must be taken if one tries to be too forceful. It will spring away. Excellent. This is turning into a masterclass. Even though it's a small barrel and spring, it could still whip out and remove an eyebrow or something. And try not to let it jump out at the end. Brilliant. And at last the train of wheels bridge, just 2 screws fixing this in place. I have been banging on about how small this movement is, but in comparison to the JLC 101 movement, it's huge. Released in 1929, they crammed everything into a movement a quarter of the size of this one. Obviously designed by some barely shaving whippersnapper with the eyesight of a peregrine falcon. I'm sure he realized his error when his eyes, along with the rest of him, hit 40. That's the 3rd wheel out, and 2nd wheel follows. We do a detailed inspection of these parts after disassembly. There's no second hand on this watch, which simplifies the train of wheels design. 4th wheel can leave now. Pallet fork bridge, off and fork away. Really should have done this earlier. Lovely polish finish on the pallet fork. Always a pleasure to get to see the care and attention given to the production of parts buried deep in the movement. Finally, the escape wheel is released. That's the bulk of the disassembly finished, but there's a few more jobs to be done before we can put these parts through the cleaning machine. We have to put the train of wheels bridge back on for a moment to remove the escape wheel cap jewel. Easier to do it in the movement holder. This is precisely as fiddly to do as it looks, and these cap jewel springs are always ready to bite you in the bottom without warning. Time for the watchmaker's special stick with Rodico on the end, I think. We'll put the spring back in place for the trip in the cleaning machine. Apologies for the difficulty in seeing what's happening, but not prepared to do this without a Rodico safety net. Next, it's the escape wheel lower cap jewel. Same process. Again, it gets its own personal numbered cubic. Now the balance wheel lower cap jewel, one should try and avoid the spring coming completely free from the mounting, but if you know what you're doing, it should be okay. Bugger! We shall reattach that shock spring at a later juncture. It is unwise to engage in such meticulous tasks amidst the storm of our anger. Now to the hard manual labour of cleaning the worst of the rust and grime from the parts before they may go into the cleaning machine. Get the cap jewels absolutely squeaky clean before dipping them in epi-lamb. And of course the sublime precision of oiling the cap jewels and returning the chatons to their plate. Three, two, one, plonk. Turn over and hope for a beautifully clean circle of oil suspended between the jewels. There it is, lovely. That oil drop doesn't know it yet, but it's going to be busy. It could be 8 or more years until it's next serviced, during which time the lubrication is responsible for 1,200,000,000 ticks and tocks. The jewel can be rehoused, even though we'll be removing the balance wheel soon and trying to replace the staff. Would it even be possible to fit a new staff on such a tiny balance wheel? Start placing your bets. Right, we're feeling calm enough to attempt to refit the shock spring. These will ping off into the shadow realms at the slightest provocation, so pleasant, gentle handling is an imperative. We're just going to line you up. There you go, that wasn't bad, was it? Now, would you mind awfully clicking into place, please? Thank you. Bottom balance jewel can plop back home now, and we'll get the rest of the movement back together. We should really be fixing the balance wheel, but that feels like a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed morning job, so we'll save that until tomorrow. Escape wheel cap jewels next. There is more energy in a coiled mainspring than a Pop-Tart fresh out of the toaster. And as we all know, those things are lethal. Uncle Rupert still speaks with a lisp 15 years after he got careless with a frosted peach cobbler. Great care must be taken. On occasion, the final loop of a new mainspring is too tight for the arbor. One way to resolve this pickle is to hold the loop open with a pair of stout carbon steel tweezers. And always check the arbor is free to move before proceeding. Escape wheel and fourth wheel in after the barrel. A little lubrication on the second wheel that's next on the agenda. The order of wheel placement is quite simple. Escape first, fourth, second, second, third, and of course third, fourth. Small wheels with relatively long pivots make fitting the train of wheels bridge extra fiddly, but there's no rush. It will drop into place when it is ready. Good. That wasn't too bad at all. Setting lever screw in, then straight into the barrel bridge. No time to waste. We shall let capillary action do its work and draw it in the oil to exactly where it's needed. Ratchet wheel, your time has come. And the watchmaker's special stick lends a hand. Beautiful polished sideways pallet fork is back home along with its bridge. Looking good. We can screw that down now. Add some power to the mainspring to confirm the pallet is getting its little kicks from the escape wheel, and then it's pallet dual oil drop time. Excuse me for tootling my own bugle, but that's some top-notch oil plopping right there. Nice even sharing to the escape wheel teeth. Most satisfactory. The next step is fitting the balance, but we can't, it's broken. There's no avoiding it. Let's get stuck in. Release the balance from its cock. Mark the position of the hairspring, and then have at it with the levers like a madman. We mark the position of the roller. This tool is a bit large for such a small wheel. Scalpel blades may be the better option. Let's see how it goes. A prophylactic blob of Rodico to protect from anything pinging off, and then fingers crossed, eyes closed and squeeze. That went as well as we could have hoped. We shall proceed. Let's take a moment to get a sense of scale and take a look at the replacement balance staff. That is quite small. We'll find the smallest hole on the staking tool that accommodates the new staff, then use the centering punch to get everything lined up. I removed the old staff off camera, tapped it out with this tool. Gentle taps, no rush. The balance staff is riveted onto the balance wheel with a domed punch. And the work is completed with a flat punch. Carefully push the roller back on. And the hairspring follows the roller onto the balance wheel. Somebody has managed to put a little tangle into the hairspring. Let's get that out now with a pair of needles. And look at this, we have a running watch now, and spoiler alert, after a bit of fiddling around, it's running very well. Everything nice and flat. This is as good as we could have hoped for. Keyless and motion works next. Let's prepare the pivots and posts for their impending visitation. Winding pinion gets greased front and back. Sliding pinion clutches in. Bit shaky here, clearly it's time for a break. A hot buttered crumpet and cup of tea. The stem will be in and out a few times yet. We'll lubricate it at the end. Yoke, you can't hide. It's installation time. We approve of this yoke spring, it's pretty much unpingable. The minute wheel and setting lever spring indicate we're nearly done with the movement. Check the operation of the keyless works, then its dial, hands and case time. I hope we've been able to convey some of the effort it took to get this little wonder working again. In reality, a lot of activity was left out of the video, not least the challenge of finding spare parts. If you have a watch that needs some attention and you'd like a short free video showing your watch's repair, check out the Gentleman's Watch Services website in the description. Right, that's it, we're done. Farewell, ladies and gentlemen, until next time.